You're good. You can work if you want. All right, we are live now. Welcome everybody. I could have put impromptu in the title because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But I know that Mike S. Miller's here, by the way. Welcome. I know that you've been doing a lot with NFTs. I've been having people are follow my channel and stuff. They've known, like I've mentioned, I got a new job, and I've been around a whole different crowd of people who are entrepreneurs, businessmen, and they have all been talking about NFTs constantly, especially when they find out what I do, what my side gig is, making comic books. They are instantly like, well, are you doing NFTs? No, I'm not doing NFTs. Because I'm like, I don't understand them enough. So I've asked a little bit of questions there. But I mean, you are the person to ask, really, because most of these people have told me secondhand information on NFTs. I started reading about them.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what this is I just have a lot of questions about NFTs, and you seem like a really knowledgeable person in the subject to ask.
I know a little bit. Yeah.
Why not? So that's the plan. There we go. So I'm going to say hello to the chat. We're warming up here just a minute. So we'll say hi to Paul Riley, who's here. Really appreciate seeing you. And I'll admit my channel has been struggling lately. So we'll see what comes in. We have Coyote Doge. I have to think about that. What do you want to know? I code them. Oh, well, that's helpful.
Nice.
Let's see how right he is. Perfect.
I'm not the programmer. I just go and use OpenSea, or I have a dev team that does most of my programming stuff for me. So
yeah, no, this is good though. So if you have Coyote, if you have information, definitely put it in the chat for sure. So I'm a noob, as my son would call it, at NFTs. So let me tell you what I know. You correct me. It's not a lot. Okay. And then we'll maybe go from there. So my understanding with NFTs is you have a digital version of an image, video, GIF, whatever, some kind of digital asset that's art related, I guess.
Yeah, not completely necessarily. I mean, realistically, like a contract, just code can be an NFT, right? It's just information. But it's digitally stored information, and I believe there's a data limit to how much information you can store on the blockchain at a time, like in a single token. I believe. Your friend can correct me. But you can also unlock the NFT itself can be an unlocking mechanism that allows you access to any amount of digital information or websites or just access across the board. It can act as like a key that allows you through any kind of cryptographically locked data entry point, basically.
Okay, so that is already, I got that far, and you can see how I like it. The depth, it feels like there's depth. But having said that, there's like on a practical level, it's like, hey, I have an image, let's say, comic book artist, whatever, you have images you own the copyright to. I assume that's important. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be posting up like whatever, like a Rembrandt or something like that.
Well, actually, Rembrandt is public domain, so you could probably post up your Rembrandt. Actually, I've posted up.
If I took the picture, maybe.
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
This has been passed in the courts of law. If it doesn't matter who takes the picture, you don't own the picture because the image itself is what is public domain. Right.
Okay. All right. So putting up an image, in my case, in a practical sense, it would be, let's say I have trading cards or whatever I drew, or brand new pictures, right? Images somehow, however you produce them.
Leave that up because I want to ask him a question.
Okay, yeah. The image is stored on some server somewhere. It's not really feasible to store the image on the blockchain.
See, this is where I'm curious, because I can go to my MetaMask wallet and my JPEGs of the images of my of my NFTs are on my MetaMask wallet that is here, right? But then at the same time, I can go to OpenSea or Rarible, and because my MetaMask wallet is linked, turned on, MetaMask is an application you put on your browser, and it allows you. That's the lock through which the key opens up the different websites and avenues. So you'll go on to like a crypto based website, and they'll say connect wallet, and so you go up there and they say, do you want to allow access to your wallet? Then you just click yes, and then you're in that site, right? And if you have the appropriate NFTs, then you can do whatever it is you need to do on there. But yeah, so that's my question. Can you turn that light back on? Thank you. Is it stored somewhere? Because how is it on your MetaMask? I mean, what's the server that's holding it here, but it's also there, and it's also there, and anytime I access my wallet, there it is. So that's, if he could answer that like in a short text, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's again, I'm still learning about it. Let me say hi to Shadowhawk Backs. Hello, Shadowhawk, good to see you. So Metamask is acting like YouTube, your YTube browser. It browser just follows the link. Same with gallery sites. So it's housed somewhere. Okay. This is beyond anything that I even had thought about at all.
Well, it's like just like an embedded image on a web page, like right, that, or your video, right? Your video isn't on YouTube. It's not on the computer. It's on a computer somewhere, and it's streaming to your computer, right? And then you have access to it through the YouTube page. So that's what he's saying. It's like the wallet acts like the YouTube page, but the information is stored elsewhere. It's accessible through the blockchain.
So this does bring up a good question too. I didn't even get through my explanation of the little I know, and I'm running into things, but this is a good question because, okay, so I'm going to pause here for a moment. When I think about NFTs, I immediately compare it to, hey, if I'm drawing or if I'm buying original art to hang on my wall, I own the original. If I have water damage or my house burns down, it's gone forever. In the case of NFTs, I try to apply that same logic to NFTs in that it's the original. You have the original, but it's digital, which brings up a few more questions too. But I'm curious though, if there was, wherever the image is being stored, could that, do you know what I mean? If, I don't know, in this case,
if there's an EMP,
or like, I don't know, or if let's say it got hacked into a server, Amazon server, so I don't know, like, can the image,
well, see, that's my curiosity, but like what this guy is saying, it's stored on a server somewhere. That part I don't understand, because you have to hit the fatal flaw. You have hit on the fatal flaw of art NFTs. I don't know what the fatal flaw is.
Which is where they're stored?
Yeah.
This is already like so complicated to me.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
There are better, more reliable storage solutions available, but not commonly used.
Okay, so storing the image is a thing.
Let's skip that question, because I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Where this happens, because people are like, when they make this argument about like Bitcoin and Ethereum and whatnot, and they're like, oh, what happens when the EMP takes it? It's like, you'd have to take out the entire world grid in order for your Bitcoin to disappear.
Okay, so I feel like, as somebody that doesn't know very much about this at all, this is where there has to be the explanation of blockchain, correct? Because that's what makes truly an NFT a one-of-a-kind image, is the fact that it's connected to a blockchain, so there's a code associated with it. So
you know what a ledger is, right?
I think so, yeah. So it's just keeping track of...
It's that thing that, the mob accountant carries. It's got all the information, it's the list of it's the itemized list of transactions, right? That's a ledger, right? If you have a single ledger, you have a single point of failure. If you have a single bank, they keep, meticulous records of what everybody's owed, what everybody owns, interest rates, all that stuff. They keep it on their ledger on their computer. One lightning strike, you can take out that ledger. Nobody knows whose money is whose and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the blockchain is distributed ledger technology, where you take every certain amount, I can't remember how many megabytes or whatever of information is stored per block. But every time a block is filled with information, it is then stored on every node or every computer running the blockchain around the world, which could be tens to hundreds of thousands of computers. I'm not even sure at this point.
So basically, you got however many potentially infinite servers that are keeping track of the ledger.
Right.
So
it
it's
is
duplicated.
Yes.
However many times.
It's like the argument about, hey, can I go change the Bible? Right? Good luck. Because you'd have to go and cross out and change words in billions and billions of copies of the Bible around the world in order to say, I'm going to change the Bible, right? This is the same thing. There's so many copies of any given blockchain. If it's a big enough blockchain, like Bitcoin is the most secure information system ever devised by man, because again, they're global. There's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of computers holding this node, this chain of information. And then every time one is filled, it's added to the chain, and then all of the computers are updated.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So that's blockchain. That's why it's such an important technology, because you can't change it. It's immutable. It's unhackable. It's unchangeable.
So in my perspective, then NFTs are different or unique because they're associating a blockchain with an image. So now you have images. Again, if I relate it to the real world, there's a reason why Rembrandt is worth whatever millions of dollars versus.
Right. But is there a reason why the copies of it aren't?
Okay, so that's a good question. That can you make copies of NFTs? Is that
well, people saying, well, I don't know, just right click this JPEG.
Right? Yeah, because I've heard that before, right?
Right.
Yeah, I can post the same image as my avatar, technically, right? So it's not like a copyright or an allowance thing. It's you own.
Well,
the NFT.
I don't like stop you every second, because if it is written into the metadata that when you're purchasing this NFT, you own the copyright on it, then you do. You've bought not just an image, you've bought the rights to that image. So metadata is the description, the attributes, anything that you can write to grant permissions or accessibility or rights through the transfer of ownership of said NFT.
Okay. All right. So I think what I want to kind of get to is more of the or like, hey, you're a comic book artist using NFTs, I guess. So what I'm coming to understand, and I can see that Coyote is saying, just keep reading, is that I think there's definitely more I have to learn about it. But I am curious, though, again, because I know there are guys at work that are like, hey, this guy works like, hey, my son just paid for his trip to Hawaii for 2 weeks off of buying and selling NFTs.
Yeah.
Like, really? And then hearing about what you're doing with NFTs, I mean, everybody's asking me, like, are you doing NFTs? No, I'm not. But so I am curious about it. But Hicks Villain brings up a point here. If you're just learning about NFTs now as a buyer, it's already too late. You have an early ETH adopter to get a good price on them.
ETH. That's short for Ethereum.
Okay.
I disagree. I think this is a very nascent market. We're in a kind of a downturn right now. It's particularly in the ETH market, because ETH and Bitcoin, the market is going up. Actually, right now we're having a couple of hard days or down days, but because the ETH market is going so hot recently, first of all, the gas fees. The gas is the price that all those people that are running the blockchain, it cost money to keep them running the blockchain, right? And so it's called gas fees. And as the gas fees go up, nobody wants to pay $100 for an NFT and turn around and pay $150 for gas. It's like a tax.
It's
right?
like day trading. The same problem with whatever, just day trading. If you're buying and selling stocks, there's always a fee.
There's always a fee,
and
right?
So that it's like, is it worth all these transactions?
Right. But the thing is, the gas fees on Ethereum are huge because it wasn't really the competition is like this. You can because people are trying to guarantee, like, oh my gosh, I need to get in, I need to pay for this right now because the price has hit my buying point, right? And if I miss it by 20 seconds, I might lose thousands of dollars, right? So they'll be like, hey, instead of the $50 for gas, I'll pay $100 if you put me at the front of the line, right? And then enough people are doing that it's supply and demand. It just drives the overall price of gas up. So even nobody can pay that lower market price because there's so many people that cut in front of them in the line because they're willing to pay 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times the gas fees in order to make thousands of dollars on a trade, right? So that's what there's solutions that are coming. There's a second layer. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds.
But I get it. That part makes sense to me, though, that they're basically transaction fees, I'm going to call them.
Yeah.
But yeah, for every time you buy and sell, that makes sense, and that could add to the price if you're buying and selling. Which I'm not really interested necessarily in buying and selling. These are the guys that I know that do it. They buy them, sit on them for a while. One guy I know is like, he's buying some of these NFTs. This is where it gets strange to me because it's like, oh, this is really cool artwork or something, and in other cases it's like this pixelated, I know I could make that image, but for some reason it's like, he's telling me I made $4,000 on this image, and he shows it to me, and it's like this like 8-bit looking face of some kind, and I'm like, that really, like, why?
And you want me to explain why this happens?
Right, that's the part. Is it because of the artist, like in the real world?
No.
It's a Rembrandt. Yeah. So why then? That doesn't make sense.
Because every NFT, because the big ones have gotten so flippin' big. Like I don't even know what CryptoPunks is at now. They sell for millions of dollars, right? They started out at a couple $100, but now they're millions of dollars just for one. Bored Ape Yacht Club, I think the floor price on that Bored Ape, and I say floor price like you'd talk about stocks, right? Like, here's Amazon, the floor price is whatever, the bottom, what the bottom is trading at, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like when you look at this, if you're looking at a stock ticker or whatever, it's like that one right there at the bottom where people are agreeing, that's the floor price. Well, in a market where you have variety, not everything is, because they're non-fungible. They're all unique, right? But they are part of a collection. So what happens is you have these 10,000 NFTs that are part of a collection that, you can recognize right off the bat. That's a CryptoPunk. That's a Bored Ape. That's a Funky Monkey, right? And because of that, if you have more than 10,000 people who want them, or say you've got, I don't have to get all specific, but you have 10,000 of a thing and you've got 100,000 people that want them, and that 100,000 people have a lot of money, then supply and demand kicks in, right? So some of the pieces will have more, where will have rarer attributes, and the rarer the attribute, the higher the value in this marketplace. So the floor will always be the least unique, right? The most commonplace stuff will be on the floor. But because there is a floor, people will buy out the floor. Say the floor is $200. Then someone's like, well, I want the floor to be $220. So I'm going to buy all the ones that are $200. Then the floor is suddenly $220. Then this guy can list these things for $240, right? And because you're buying out and relisting higher, you're raising the floor price. You get enough people doing that, and you can sell out a collection of 10,000 in a couple hours, and 3 hours later, that $200 NFT you just bought could be worth $2,000.
So, okay, so I have I keep getting more questions as we go. I'm trying to pay attention to the chat too.
I don't even have the chat open.
So no, you're good. I'm gonna show this question, and then I want to ask you a question. So don't let me forget. I have a question about rarity because you said rarity. Okay, so Old Man says, I want to know why people are so upset about NFTs. Some people talk about it like it was the worst thing in the world. I don't understand why most people would even care unless they have money in it. And I'll make one comment here. When Bitcoin got on my radar years ago, long time ago, I definitely was one of those people. I'm like, this sounds like awful, like terrible idea. And it just seems like it's so volatile and you're going to miss your money, and I didn't understand it at all. Having said that, now I look at it and it's like, gosh, if I would have invested in Bitcoin back then, I'd have an awful lot of money right now in comparison. So I can understand from the aspect of not understanding it, or maybe genuine concerns. I just know in my case, I didn't understand it. And so that was my reaction. There are probably people that understand it and have whatever list of concerns, but that's where I'm at. So I don't know. How would you answer that question?
People are upset because it takes electricity, and electricity is evil because.
Okay, so that's the whole other, like that's killing sea turtles or whatever.
Yeah, you're destroying the earth because you want to sell a JPEG, and it's like, if these people knew anything, which they don't, they would know that like 87% of the energy that's used in cryptocurrency is either renewable energy or wasted energy, which is like, you can't power down a nuclear power plant, right? You can't power down a freaking wind turbine. You can't power down electricity, but there's only so much demand for electricity. So when you're creating more electricity than is in demand, it goes to waste, right? So this electricity can be put to use. That's why a lot of Bitcoin farmers or farmers, they'll put their mining rigs in as close to power sources as they can, and that's geothermal, that's hydroelectric, that's whatever. It's like, because they're small and mobile, they can get as close to these places. So it takes, whatever. It's cheaper land. It's cheaper everything.
Specific to NFTs, or is that
no? It's Bitcoin? Blockchain that they're complaining about.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but they're just saying that the NFTs are done on the block, because they were complaining about this, like every ETH transaction or every Bitcoin transaction uses as much as a small town or some garbage like that, right?
So, but wouldn't I don't know, like, again, looking at it as a total noob, I would see that improving over time, like energy. Surely there's going to be innovation.
It's already right now probably the greenest industry on the planet. 86 to 87% is renewable or wasted energy.
Yeah.
You're what, 15-13% using just
okay.
Give me the banking industry is way worse.
Yeah, well, it would use less energy if it didn't exist at all. It would, but you could say that. I mean,
about society,
about me living, existing.
It's a nice electric guitar you got behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. Yeah, like so that, or I don't know.
We should all go back to just chopping down trees and burning wood to keep warm. Make our food
just better for the environment.
We should just hunt rabbits.
It's kind of funny
arrows that we make ourselves.
All right, and let me read this one here. Oh, I have a question about rarity. I'm going to stop there. So my impression, that what I had thought, and I'm coming to realize that this is probably wrong, is that I could say I'm going to make an NFT. Let's say I have a comic book and it's all digital, like Fatal. All the pages are digital, and I'm going to make each page an NFT so that
Mhm.
you can own that page. You have the original art of that page. But is that incorrect in that is there a number per NFT? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh no, actually
It
there's 10
depends.
owners of
You can make a unique NFT, or you can fractionalize an NFT and make as many copies of it if you want, right? If you want to make 1 billion copies of an NFT, well, I don't know if they'll let you on, but I've never tried. But I've made 100 copies of an NFT, right? And then I just, if there's more than 100 people that want them, boom, you have yourself a market.
but
But
they're
otherwise,
worth less then, right? Because supply and demand, because there's more demand.
well, yeah, that's that. Yeah, anything that's unique, as long as there is a market. See, that's my argument, is that, and it's just reality. Value is perception, right? If that guitar behind you only has sentimental value, that sentimental value is when one person cares about a thing.
Mm-hmm.
If two people care about a thing, then it has monetary value. If 10,000 people care about it, then it has a marketplace, right? So if I create an NFT and nobody wants it, it has no value. If I create an NFT and 10,000 people want it, it has extraordinary value.
Okay. So that leads me into another question, because I really want to get into like the I don't know, the noob questions of, okay, like let's say I'm a comic book creator and I want to use NFTs or whatever. I think there are a lot of people that have been asking that question. Let me first though, real quick, Coyote, I'm so sorry. I know you have a lot to say about it, and he ends up like this, saying, "Arg,
Oh, he's
gritting
right.
my teeth, limited to text when I normally give interviews about this topic." I hear you. I hear you, man. Yeah, I'll
No, click to the one before that he
yeah,
wrote.
here we go.
The NFTs work really well as a certificate of authenticity. You bought an original painting, got the painting, and the NFT proves it's real, as an example. Yeah, I like to use the term provenance because people in the art world generally know what a provenance is. It is a record that goes back to the origin of creation. And it's much better than a certificate of authenticity because it's immutable, unforgeable, right? Unhackable, because there's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of copies of it around the world. And you can access that information. You can access the entire record from the first person who sold it to the 50th person who bought it, right? You have the entire chain of, dude has the economics right. Thank you. You have the entire chain of ownership up until present day from point of origin.
Yeah. So Shadowhawk brings up a point that I'm not too old. I don't know if I'll ever be too old, but I can understand. Okay, so from where I'm sitting, I look at NFTs and I think, for me personally, why would I possibly want to own an NFT? I don't care. Like, but original art, that's great. I'd want to own it, whereas other people might not. However,
To me, I couldn't give a rip less about baseball cards.
Yeah.
I couldn't care one iota about any baseball card on earth.
But
there's
does.
plenty of people. There's a market.
Yeah, there's a market. Many
that
people
trade
do.
Millions of dollars for these little pieces of paper.
Right. And that is what drives the interest of more people. If I compare this to, well, comic books, for example, back issues, Amazing Spider-Man, or Amazing Fantasy #1, or 15, right? Amazing Fantasy 15. I'm acting like a comic noob too. The reason why that book is worth so much is because so many people want it. But on top of that, you're going to have people that might not be interested in comics at all, like as far as the reading value, but they're interested in the monetary value of it. And that's where, like, if I'm being
how I could interest you in NFTs right now?
Yeah.
I could give you a CryptoPunk.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, but I could give it to you, and I could tell you, if you put this on OpenSea, you could sell it for $3 million. You interested now?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the monetary value. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm relating to what you were just saying.
So with Bitcoin, it's purely, I mean, there are probably some other reasons too. I've heard, especially with libertarians, like the idea of getting away from a government controlled uh fiat system or whatever. There's some reasons like that, but ultimately to me it's just about the monetary value for, I think, most people, the monetary value of a Bitcoin. In the case of
Investor. Yeah.
yeah, in the case of NFTs, you've also added the element of, hey, you can own this original or whatever, this digital, you can own the first tweet ever tweeted. That's one I read about. You can own whatever, Michael Jordan's best dunk or something like that, a little image of it, little video of it. You can own that. So on top of there being the monetary value, there's also maybe
Status.
some sentimental value or status, right?
Yeah, very much so. Like, why would you buy a Lamborghini instead of a Charger, right?
Right. Longest elevator pitch ever. I'm just trying to understand NFT.
I'm not pitching anything. I'm not trying to sell anything. No. I'm just here to talk.
This is Hicksville, and you can almost see the math equations spinning around Clint's head. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, okay, let's get to the how does this actually work kind of thing. Mr. Reborn says electricity evil unless it's for electric cars.
Yes, then let's demolish entire mountain ranges to get our cobalt and our lithium.
Yeah, hey, stay out of the woods. Yeah, okay. Well, I want to ask, I'm so behind on the chat. I'm really sorry, everybody. Brian Kriskow is here. Oh, sorry. All right, so I have some questions. Jasper Plan 9's here. All right, so let's say, okay, so I'm just going to cut to the chase then. Comic book artist, you're making comic books. I think for most comic book creators, making comics can be expensive, and you're going to pay for that with your time or with your money. And in my case, because I am a writer, I'm also the financier of comic books, and crowdfunding has been absolutely fantastic and has enabled me to go from making short 8-page stories that I have to sell guns, or whatever to raise the funds to make, to, hey, where I'm doing crowdfunding, now I have funds to produce these books and print them at a quality I never thought before I'd be able to do, and have that practical experience and build up my catalog of books that I've made, and it's fantastic. But at the same time, because comics are expensive, I often see comic book creators looking for other ways to supplement how they can make money off of the comics that they're spending all this time and money into making. So from there, enter NFTs. Okay, how do you tell me how it works? I guess from your angle, or how it could work, comic creator using NFTs to sort of, supplement things. I don't know if that was the right way to say it, but
you mean if my end goal is to go back to making comic books?
Well, so that's a whole other discussion too. But let's start there actually. So you've been successful in crowdfunding. Are you going to make comics again?
I'm not going to crowdfund again, that's for sure.
You're not going to crowdfund comics. Are you going to make comics? Like, is that you have a hankering for it?
Right now, I don't have a hankering for it. I do have an entire universe of intellectual properties I want to develop someday. But you know what, dude? I had a vision for a multimedia company years ago, and I thought the whole crowdfunding comics thing was going to be the route through which I got there. But I mean, I'm not going to push any numbers on you, but I've made more in 2 months than I made in 4 years crowdfunding. And it's just mathematically, it would make no sense to go back to crowdfunding at this point. So if I do get to the point where I can afford, I can afford it. If I get to the point where I have that hankering that I want to develop out my own comics, well, I probably won't draw them myself. Like when I was funded at Alias Comics, I would write the books, and then I I would hire, because I know who good artists are. But now, dude, I could freaking go hire Ed McGuinness. I could I could hire if I wanted to do that, and if I thought it was worth the money. It's like, where's the marketplace that's going to buy these things, right? I'm not going to go, bust my butt, hire someone at a professional rate, pay tens of thousands of dollars to produce something, and it just sit there, right?
Yeah. This is I don't know. I think about this a lot. I used to think about it more like how would you make comics full time, because there's the passion around it, and I guess you've done it, so maybe you're coming at it from a different perspective too.
I did it for 30 years.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's like I often come into these scenarios where it's like, do you want to make the decision that's going to make comics and make whatever customers as happy as possible, giving them the most bang for their buck, and some of the traps that come in with crowdfunding, in that you got to spend all of the money that you raised to make this fantastic book happen.
And
do
then
I do that, or do I make them all out? Sorry, what's that?
And then spend a month of your life shipping them.
Yeah, well, and producing it, or like the things that can happen. Yeah. And then so you go that route where you think, do I make the decision that's strictly the business decision here, like a business savvy decision? I think that's a whole other discussion, but I think that there are ways to make good sound business decisions for making comics, but at the end of the day, it still very much is a passion project. I don't know, like I think there are I don't know, it's again so expensive and so much work to make comics, which I love it. I'm going to continue doing it, but it is kind of interesting to see the transition that you've kind of made here with the NFTs. So
yeah, but I'm still sticking with, I still believe that is my vision long term. Whatever the road is God has me on to get there, I want to do. I'm a storyteller, right? And so it's like it's funny because I'm still fielding other projects other than just my own, because my point is to build out my community for Funky Monkey Frat House and my associated artists and all that stuff. So I want to build that out, and I want to bring attention to it. So I'm still actually talking to other people when they approach me with something and it sounds like something that's going to have good marketing, it's going to have good reach. I just bought a Starship space station, which will mean nothing to you, right? But Starships is this metaverse that is it's going to be one of the first games on Facebook's Meta. So it's like, now I bought one of their space stations. There's only going to be 100 of them. 90 of them are going to go to like huge influencers with like millions of, it's to build out their community. But because now I'm not just part of that, but I can also work with them on their project, then I can feed off of that community as well. So it's not just Mike Miller, Injustice artists come to me, Injustice fans and whatever. It's like there's a whole world out there of NFT crypto heads, whatnot, and it's in its infancy. And if I can be one of the pioneers in this space artistically, because it's so new, dude. Anyone getting into the space right now, I mean, people say we're pioneers, but seriously, we're not even on the shore yet. We're sitting on the Santa Maria, like staring at the shoreline, and there's a whole world out there, because like Ready Player One is going to be a documentary in 10 years, and we're not even there yet. So
it's weird. But again, going to Shadowhawk's comment on being too old or whatever. But for me, it's more like I still don't buy digital comics. It's been relatively recently that I'm like, yeah, I'll buy a digital video game or something. I'll buy digital things here and there, but
Were
if
there
it's
non-digital video games though? I wasn't aware
well,
of any.
I mean, having the physical copy, this is yeah, totally how I am. But buying like the physical, if I'm playing it on whatever PS4 is what I have, buying the disc or
You
just
want the
buying it
disc.
on the PlayStation Store,
Oh, I see.
Right. So that leap for me was huge. And so then thinking of owning the original, but the more that I look at this, the more I realize, um, I mean, Bitcoin clearly is a thing. It's here to stay as far as I can tell. I'm no financial guru. That's just from my perspective. I think I was very wrong about Bitcoin in the beginning. So I don't see now I'm looking at NFTs with that perspective, and I'm like, I don't know, like it makes more sense to me than Bitcoin does, because there are actual, like, you have something in addition to that monetary value. I don't know if it matters or not, but to me it does, from, I don't know, my layman's perspective. And yes,
Someone,
Mr. Reborn, I'll leave the
someone,
conversation up.
someone mentioned today, I believe it was today, that where we are in Bitcoin or where we are in NFTs compared to Bitcoin is sort of like where we were in 2013 with Bitcoin. So it's like really just a couple of years into this market. And yeah, I mean, there may be things that are selling for millions of dollars, but really there's only a few tens of thousands or a few hundreds of thousands. I don't know what the statistics are. It's I don't think it's even probably a million people buying NFTs.
Yeah.
And yet that's how much that's how much money there is in this market. Where I
Yeah.
could make in 2 months I could make more than I made in 4 years as a very successful crowdfunder.
No. Yeah. Well, so then okay, the mechanics of, or the practical aspect of making an NFT. So I talked to a guy at work. He got me set up with, I can't even remember, a wallet. What is it called?
Mm-hmm.
Coinbase?
Metamask. Oh, Coinbase.
Was that a
Yeah.
bad decision? I don't.
No, I've been using Coinbase for 5 years.
Okay, so I have a Coinbase account, and that's as far as I've gone. I know I have to go to OpenSea, but let's say I'm a comic book artist that is, I'm making my comic book or whatever. And I think I own images, so I own the copyright to my images. Do I take those images and post them, or you suggest like you make whole new images just for NFTs? That's the route you're taking, right?
That's not really that's not really the question though.
Okay.
Do you have a market that is interested in buying your stuff as NFTs?
Okay, so it's not just like you're not just throwing stuff up at the wall to see if it sticks.
No, I was on
Right.
Facebook, I think yesterday, in a NFT group, and these NFT groups have thousands of people in them, and somebody posted as their question, "Has anyone sold any of their NFTs?" And just no, yes,
These are
no,
people creating their own NFTs.
yeah, and they're in an NFT group, they're in an NFT community, but they're all NFT creators trying to sell each other NFTs.
So
Right.
yeah, because
So
you could make infinite NFTs, right? You could just constantly
you
be
can do
dumping
whatever
them
you
out.
want.
Right.
I could make, you know what? I mean, here's the thing, dude. You can make anything. And if you don't have a market, it's useless.
Yeah.
You have to have a market in order to make anything successful. And so that's why 8-9 months ago, however long it was, I contacted BitBoy because I had NFTs up on Rarible and none of them sold, right? So I contacted BitBoy, who's the number one influencer. He's got like 5 million fans across all these different social medias. And I realized that, hey, this guy's also a comic book nerd because his character, BitBoy, is a comic book superhero. And so I emailed him. They got back to me, and I started working with him on some NFT projects. I contacted him. I'm like, hey, I'm 30-year comic book vet, DC Comics, blah, blah, blah. If you'd ever like to do any NFTs together, just let me know. They got back to me that day, right? And so I was working with them for like 6 months on different projects. And then the whole point of that was I didn't have NFT fans. And just like you, dude, I couldn't drag you kicking and screaming to buy one of my NFTs, right? Neither could I do it with the 9,000 people on my mailing list, right? You can't. The Venn diagram, comic books, NFTs. The Venn diagram crossover is like a sliver.
Yeah.
Right. Although there is one Comics Geek guy that's in my Discord, and he's one of my biggest backers.
I'm not gonna lie. I made a video just mentioning it, and most of my comments were like, "What?" You know, I mean, people know about them. They know of NFTs, but they're like, "What?" So it's kind of cool to see Coyote in here that's knowledgeable on the subject. But yeah, absolutely. Like to me, it's like, well, why though? But you know, it comes into more of the monetary value for me. Like, do I wish I owned a Bitcoin or I bought one way back when I was, you know, I didn't believe in it whatsoever? Yeah, I kind of do, you know. But
I'm telling you 3 years ago, dude, you don't listen.
I mean, I barely have a coin. What is it called again? Coinbase? I don't know. Coinbase. I barely have a Coinbase. That's all I have. So so that's where I'm at. So it doesn't really, when I'm hearing you say, then you tell me if this is correct, making and saying, hey, I've got an NFT of this original page doesn't make a lot of sense, because your comic book audience, they want an original page. They don't want an NFT, you know, like to them.
No, I mean, look, dude, Frank Miller just cleaned up millions of dollars selling NFTs, probably made more money selling NFTs than he made royalties on his movies, right? So but that's the thing, Frank Miller, millions of fans. Mm-hmm. If you have like 0.5% of your millions of fans that are willing to buy NFTs and dude, my NFTs, they sell for $300 and up, right? So like compare it to crowdfunding, you know, like, oh, somebody bought $300 worth of my comics. They're a whale. Everyone buying NFTs is a whale. So if you're Frank Miller and you've got millions of fans and 0.5% of them care about NFTs, that's millions of dollars, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not that there isn't any interest. It's just that you have to go where the market is. Mm-hmm. You can't drag your market into NFTs.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, and thank you. One of the most interesting interviews, Clint. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And this was just off the cuff. So yeah, appreciate that. I am interested too. So, okay. So I can relate this back to crowdfunding too, because I have seen so many people that think you can just throw up a crowdfunding campaign and bada bing, bada boom, you're rich. You know what I mean? My potato salad raised 40 grand or whatever it is, you know, like that's I'm sure there were probably outlying cases where that happened, just because it's the, you know, that's the wild west of the internet. Like who knows? But by large, it's got to be driven by actual demand for your NFTs,
right,
in particular. So having a name like Frank Miller, I'm sure helps. Having an internet platform, especially that's in an NFT community, must surely help. But from your perspective, like developing, if you really wanted to do NFTs, you would have to spend time developing an audience in that realm, correct?
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So so tell me a little bit about your NFTs. I know you do monkeys. How did that come about? Like, where'd you get the idea for your?
Well, I was doing the Pluto Alliance stuff. I can show you. I just finished Pluto Alliance 2. Hold on, let me share my other screen. So here's Pluto Alliance 2, which I also did the artwork for. That should be launching soon. But that was the first generative avatar project, and that's what it's called, where you create all of these attributes and they layer on top of each other, just like a Photoshop file, right? And then the computer randomizes the attributes so that it creates 10,000 unique avatars, right? And so I did the first Pluto Alliance project, and I got it. I'm like, this I can do this. So I sat down and I started doing my it's called Dragons of Pangaea. And I started doing that because ever since CryptoKitties came out like 4 or 5 years ago, I wanted to do CryptoKitties with dragons. And so I sat there and I started doing my dragons. But then I'm like, oh man, I could totally associate. I have this, I'll just show. So many years ago, like 15, 20 years ago, I made this card game called Pangaea. And I've played it with my kids and over the years and developed it. And it's really fun. And I even created a game doc for it like 8 years ago to do it as an online card game. So I'm like, Pangaea, I could totally use this and do my card game. And then I want to make this like sort of into a metaverse and I had all of these plans and all of these ideas for this. And I'm like, this is my first thing. I'm like, I should maybe try this with something more simple than my grand plan project. And like I said, I'm a creative dude. I'm doing all this kind of stuff all these years. And so the next thing I did was like crypto chads. And I can show you. Hold on. Let me
So while you're getting that, let me just check in with the chat here real quick. Kyrie Dodge says NFTs based gaming might be the most interesting. Gods Unchained is a live NFT based card game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very interesting. Fine art is often a scam. I watched a documentary about that once. That is really interesting. The successful NFT projects typically attach something else to the NFT.
Yes, I'm going to get
apes, that. Yacht clubs. Okay. All right. Very interesting. Mr. Reborn, I'm doing a mini series of trading cards, but I got no audience. Yeah, I hear you, man. That building an audience, that's always the question with comics, with anything, is building an audience.
Yeah.
How do you build that demand? Well, this is probably a good place too, because I know a lot of people have questions about that. So, but yeah, let's look at this. So this is, these are the chads.
These are my crypto chads. So this is like, meme based. And I thought, that'd be cool that like memes are huge in the NFT space. And I'm like, I don't think anyone's done good chads. So I was like, I'm going to do crypto chads. So I designed these and then I showed them to my contact over at BitBoy. And he's like, that's going to do really well. He's like, do you want to work together on that? I'm like, yeah, but we were in the middle of this other project. So I'm like, all right, we'll shelve the chads for now. So then I needed something else. And I just kind of went to what the most popular thing was. And at the time, Bored Ape Yacht Club was really on my radar. And so I'm like, Bored Ape Yacht Club, I'm going to do something like that, but a little more fun. So I did Funky Monkey Frat House. Actually, at first I did Drunk Monkey Frat House. But my wife's like, why do they have to be drunk? But they all have drinks. So I made it the Funky Monkey Frat House, and I was like really leaning hard on Animal House as kind of the storyline behind it. So I did like the toga party, and I'm gonna do the pirate parade and Greek life and all of this stuff.
And so that defines your collection. Like to me, I'm picturing it like a gallery. Like you're showing a collection, but this could be massive.
Yeah. So it's like 10,000. So.
Oh my gosh. So wait, you haven't drawn 10,000 individual.
No, I drew about 300 attributes. Monkey Frat House custom. Oh, that's the customs.
Oh, and then I'm sorry, I'm really slow. Now I'm piecing things together.
And then they are generated via computer into all of these unique attributes, or these unique. See, no two of these are alike. Although you'll see the same toga on two. You'll see the same head color. You'll see the same beard. But
this is crazy because I keep thinking why. Because I'm thinking about the original art aspect, but when I want one that you drew, like whole picture, do you know what I mean? Or is one like that more valuable? Or
I actually do that too. It's the customs collection. Now these are a little more pricey. You go to my, hold on. So the Funky Monkey Frat House Customs Collection. These are all unique, although a lot of them are still based off of the basic.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can see, I use the same face and the same eyes and whatnot. But then I went and I made up. I drew all this other crap that's on
and
it.
You have an animated one
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, actually, my son did that one. So in the Customs Collection, I started offering these for 0.1 ETH, which was about $360, $380 at the time. I got so many orders that I was like, I'll never get done with these. I had, there's this Customs Collection has 144 items in it, right? So I had to start bringing in like the drawn and quartered crew. And I'm like, hey, you guys want to come in here and take some of these customs for me? And so I started farming art.
So, okay, sorry, I don't. So you draw these after they're ordered.
Yes.
So do they specifically say, hey, I want a, whatever, I want a animated one, I want a Batman one? They tell you what they want, and then you draw it like just a regular art.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Oh.
So like this one is, my daughter did this one, and they wanted a Harley Quinn monkey, and they actually had a thing where they wanted it to be half and half, right? But it's a parody because it's a monkey, but it's Harley Chimp.
Gotcha.
And so what I did was I said, hey, look, I've got like 100 something commissions in my queue already. If you want one faster, go to one of my custom, and in my Discord, I have a guest artist channel. So I just go to the guest artist channel, find an artist you like, and ask them, and then they'll do it for you. And then ultimately, I got so busy doing these, I raised the price up to 1 full ETH each. So right now that's about $4,000. And, I got a number of those too, but it slowed it down, right? Because these 100 and probably 130 to 140 of these orders came in like a week.
So, wow, it's crazy. This whole aspect right here is crazy to me because it's also not an auction. You're setting the price. And then people are taking it or leaving it. So it's like,
right.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
No, they're just ordering it.
They're just ordering it.
Yeah.
So you raise the price. So currently, let's say like that zombie one, how much is that worth?
This one's for sale for half an ETH, so about $2,000.
Oh my gosh! So you made that for like 300, maybe 1,000.
Actually, Kevin Sharp drew that one.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the guest artists, because they're not as busy as I am, they're taking orders for 0.25 ETH, which is about $1,000 right now.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
Wow. So I can definitely see, I don't know. I do kind of think about this. And if you're just making these and drawing these, you're doing art, you're getting paid to do it. Yeah, I would kind of wonder why you would want to do crowdfunding again. I'm doing crowdfunding. I'm just asking questions, but the big part of it is that you basically have figured out how to get the audience, how to, you know what I mean? That whole process of making NFTs and building the audience, like we've had a couple questions in the chat about. And so the more that I look at this, I think this is not for everyone to make them.
It's not easy. And again, I've been building this foundation since the day I emailed BitBoy, right? Because I knew if you're the world's biggest crypto influencer, you're going to have NFT fans. And I'm like, that's the audience that I want. And I don't have like hundreds of thousands of fans. My Discord has like 7,000 people in it. And, this collection right now only has 457 owners. But those 457 owners have paid for these things, and they were each a minimum of almost $400, right? So That's 1.5 thousand items. That's $400 each. You can do the math. It's
That's staggering.
yeah. And this is just the one collection, because that's this collection, and then there's also the customs collection. This is an additional 144 items, which again, minimum, these were about $400 each, up to $4,000 each.
Wow. So one other okay. Sorry, one more question, because now I'm thinking about it. A lot of the questions about building an audience for it. You linking up with BitBoy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Does BitBoy promote your NFTs every time, or it's like you just got connected once and now you're kind of in the know? You know what I mean?
I'll tell you how I started it off. Is they do promote me on the show here and there. Like I have, but the way I really started building my audience was when I went to Discord. I went over to the Pluto Alliance Discord, which was the project that I had done the art for. And I said, hey, all you guys who, love your little goofy Pluto characters, I did the art for them. Come check out my art on my project. And that's how I got probably most of my bigger collectors, is by, it's like when you're an artist and you're like, hey man, I drew X-Men. Why don't you come check out my creator own book? It's the same thing, right? But again, I'm not trying to sell a freaking $25 comic. I'm selling these $400 JPEGs.
And they pay you after the fact. This was something new I learned, I think last week, from a coworker, that every time they sell, you get a royalty from it. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I have my royalties set at 10%. So somebody just bought, let's see. Actually, let's go to this one, because recently, highest last sale. So when these go aftermarket and the page doesn't load, that's really great. This one, let's see, this was 1 ETH, 0.75 ETH, 2 ETH, 1 ETH, 1 ETH, 1 ETH. Now these are the ones that I actually sold, but like this one traded aftermarket for 1 ETH. So I got, $400 in royalties for that sale.
Wow. And these are just like, you're doing literally nothing after you initially sold it. I mean, I'm now.
This one too. This one too.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a deeper appreciation for how much work it takes. Again, guys at work are like, oh yeah, just make them and throw them up, But now I'm realizing, yeah, it's like, that's not how it works. Otherwise, everyone would just be doing that. Like if it was that simple. But like once you've done all that hard work, you are getting,
you have to lay a foundation. You really, really do. Now, somebody was asking early, and I know you're almost out of time here, so I just kind of want to say what's important, because the days of just creating 10,000 pieces of artwork and thinking it's going to create a giant, big old, marketplace, those days are over. Now, people want utility. They want NFTs that are going to grant them certain rights or certain accesses. Like I was saying earlier, how it becomes like a digital key, right? Well, in my case, like a lot of these guys, some of the utility will be like, well, as this market turns and we make royalties, we'll return those royalties back to the community, right? So it's like, if you own one of these, then you own, some tiny percentage of the total revenue share as it comes in, right? So on mine, like I was telling you earlier, I just bought a Starship. The Starship is going to be one of the first metaverse projects on Facebook's Meta platform. So this thing could make so much flipping money, and 50% of that money is going back to the people who hold the various funky monkeys. So just owning a funky monkey that you paid $400 for could end up making you, I can't make any promises, could make a ton of money down the road, because, when you've got, I can't explain all the mechanics.
Sure, yeah.
If anybody knows, do some deep diving into what Starship is. It's probably going to be pretty freaking good. But that's not the only thing I'm doing. Also, anytime you buy that's what I was going to go back to the Chads, right? Because the gas prices was so high on these, I went and I said, you know what? I'm going to go to a second layer solution blockchain, or it's called Immutable X Network. It's minting NFTs with no gas fees. And so I'm going to mint 9,000 of these things, and I'm going to give one away. I'm going to airdrop them to everybody who buys one of the Funky Monkeys. So that's another layer of utility, whereas you get something and you get something else for it for free. That second thing also has its own marketplace. Also, on top of that, we've got a liquidity pool that you can take your monkeys, you can enter them into this liquidity pool with Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, Cool Cats, and CryptoPunks and Bitcoin. So the value of the entire basket, it's like a 401k, right? You put your money in a 401k, it's a bunch of different companies. The value of all of them go up together, right? So I've got a ton of utility on these things. And it's, I don't know, man. It's it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and I think it's gonna do pretty cool.
Well, so far you seem to be doing very well with it. Now I'm like, okay, I'm rethinking. I just thought, I'll just post some trading cards that I drew, I'll post those and see what happens. But clearly that's as bad as saying I'm going to throw up a crowdfunding campaign and see what happens. It's like, that's not how you want to go.
Except it's way less work.
Yeah, even less work. Yeah, so the bar to entry is so much lower.
Yeah,
anyone can.
That's why there's so many of them out there that, like I said, they're like, has anyone ever sold an NFT? No.
Yeah. Well, so let me get through the chat. We're going to wrap up the stream here pretty soon, but what I want to do is just ask some of these questions. Here's one on IP. Yeah, but IP is a legal term. I guess I'm asking legal questions. Specifically, how does copyright work if the images are only partially created by a human?
Well, it's still a unique image. And I own the copyright on all these because I created this entire thing. But if somebody wants to go make shirts of their own, their NFT, I don't care, right?
So in theory, though, if, like, let's say I can't even think of a good example. Let's say I bought a Rembrandt that not a Rembrandt, a Banksy, okay? He's still alive. He would own the copyright. Still, is that correct? Or if I buy the NFT, I own the copyright. It's not copyright sales.
It depends, because like here, when I click open one of these things, right, you have metadata right here, right? If in this metadata it says the owner of this NFT holds the copyright to this image, then you've sold the copyright to that image.
Gotcha.
And actually, that's an added value as well.
Right.
So then, but I wouldn't be able to sit there and draw it myself, right? This exact character, with that hat and that butt wiper beer and the picnic, whatever. Yeah. But somebody would own it, right?
Yeah. So, okay, that makes sense. So you could or could not be also selling the copyright.
Yeah.
So here's another question. So you draw 5 hats, 5 eyes, 5 faces, 5 mouths, and 5 shirts, all in the same general pose, typically masking lines for how the components are supposed to overlap, like defining a common eye line. I guess that's a shortened way to describe it. So that makes sense. Yep. And then the computer algorithm or whatever is just randomizes them or makes all the possible.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Say you've got five hats and 1 face, right? You've got 5 options. Now you've got 5 hats and 2 faces. How many options do you have?
Sorry, say that again.
You have 5 hats and 1 face.
Okay.
You have 5 options.
Right. Yes.
If you have 5 hats and 2 faces, how many options do you have?
10. No.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I got
That's what I'm
nervous.
saying.
I'm not a math guy.
Every single time you add an
Yeah.
attribute, you double.
It gets. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have like 300 different attributes, you literally have billions of possible combinations.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. So the goal is to have one in every single, configuration possible. So you have
No,
NFTs for each of those.
because
No.
I mean, you don't want 10 billion or billions of these things out there. You want a confined marketplace.
Right.
You want the law of supply and demand. I only have 457 owners right now, right? I want to get to the point where I have 10,000 owners, but 100,000 people who want to be owners.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're worth millions each, right?
Wow. Yeah. This is this is interesting and also kind of frightening for me. Like now I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. So I'll have to think about it a little bit. Jasper Plan 9 says, does Mike own this site or is it an eBay/heritage auctions third-party marketplace site where anyone can upload?
It's third party. There's this one. It's called OpenSea, SEA, OpenSea. There's another one called Rarible, Immutable X. Again, second layer. That doesn't mean anything probably to you, but yeah, there's different ones.
Okay.
10% the resale price or the 10% of the increase. 10% of the total resale.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking for questions, so I'm scrubbing. Del A says we built this city.
We built this city.
C Money says I invested all my 401k into monkeys.
Do it.
They don't create that. Okay, these are explanations again. Cash out 50. So I am curious too with oh gosh, there's a lot of comments. I'm so sorry, chat. I'm trying to keep up with everything. My question is too, like I could see getting into like where you're making NFTs and then you start saying, well, I'm going to be buying NFTs and moving money around and all that kind of stuff. I could see it getting a little difficult, or maybe you have to have some kind of a rule for how you actually get paid out so that you can continue doing it and get paid. Again, like total noob question.
Flipping, man.
Yeah, I mean, are you like taking you don't have to answer this question, but you like taking a salary out of this in regular US dollars so that you can, buy groceries and stuff?
I'll just tell you point blank, the first big chunk of money, like when my dev team was like, hey, we got to go cash this thing out, I just threw $100,000 in my well, what did I do? I threw 50,000 in my business account and 50,000 in my personal account, and then I paid off a bunch of stuff, gave some to charity, tithe, and then I just draw my regular paycheck out of my business account. I'm not living like I have as much money as you're seeing.
Right. Yeah.
You see, I still have my same.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta. Well, yeah, because that's the other thing too. Is anything, just like anything. I mean, you got to be practical and not spend like an NBA star or something like.
Yeah,
that.
people are like, so what color Lambo are you gonna get? I'm like, I'm probably gonna paint my Integra. It could use a paint job. I'm not gonna go. I wouldn't. I don't know. It just
Yeah, you got to put monkeys on it or something. Let's see. Here's another question. How do fees work on these third-party sites? We did talk about that. So there's I'm calling it a transaction fee, but it's a gas fee, right?
That's gas. Yeah, that's a thing in and of itself. But there's also a 2.5% transaction fee for these sites as well. So it's like, Visa, MasterCard, 2.5%, same thing.
Yeah.
But the gas fees, right now gas is just crazy stupid. There are other blockchains that have little to no gas fees. There's Solana. I don't think Cardano is up and running yet. There's Matic. There's different ones, but the bulk of the NFT ecosystem, the backers, the buyers, they're on Ethereum. And look, man, so many of them have made so much money that like gas fees to a lot of these guys are like, I don't care if I have to pay $100 in gas fees for this $400 thing. Just give me 50 of them. It's like, what? Wow, you're doing good.
That's interesting. Yeah, so I did get a question from ID Crisis. Can we get a Snogans update? How's our boy and his family doing? Talked to Charlie, was it yesterday, 2 days ago, the day before Thanksgiving? I don't know. I took the week off, so it's been really nice, but I'm also losing track of time. Talked to Charlie this week. His family is doing well, so that's really good. That's the important thing. Update on the campaign. He told me he's working on page 42 right now, meaning that when he's finished, there will be 10 pages left to draw. That's incredibly exciting. We still are working through colors, and clearly there's a lot of other things that go into making a book, but this is the biggest lift. So, yeah, so I posted an update just so you know. I've been posting monthly updates, and it's okay to ask me questions about Fatal as well. I've been getting some of those. I actually got 3 questions today, which makes me think, was there a stream somewhere or something? I don't know. People were asking about Fatal. So I'm happy to answer those questions, but I do suggest go to check the updates section because I've been putting out monthly updates. And
I am so
new
sucked
artwork.
at doing of updates.
It's the thing is, like, when you have like a great update, it's like, oh man, I'm gonna update this, when
Yeah.
it's like, hey, we're working,
We're still
working,
slogging away.
yeah, then it's hard to put updates, but I've been really trying to do better with it. I mean,
Dude,
I think for the past 6 months I've been pretty good with it.
Monster Hunt is probably going to be done here as soon as we're waiting for Kelsey to come out of the woods to get me the high res cover. That's the only thing that's keeping us from going to print, is the high res version of one of the covers. And it's Kelsey, so he just disappears into the swamp for months on end.
Yeah.
But other than that, so Monster Hunt 2 is going to be golden, and Matt Weldon's dealing with a fulfillment company, and I don't even have to worry about it. So I'm like, good, you do everything. I don't care. Dude, I'm having the worst time getting my freaking colors in on Lone Star. It's killing me.
There's I don't know, there's a lot of moving pieces, that's for sure. I love making comics, but I wish that I could draw, color everything myself. It'd take a lot of time, but then it would at least cut out like all the possible points of failure that can happen just with, working with people and all that. So but yeah, so it's going well. Fatal's moving. I really apologize it's so late. But
he's so good, dude.
I know, man. Every time he turns in a page, I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is jeez. Like all of these pages. That is
just
page.
One of the best things to come out of crowdfunding in 4 years. It looks so freaking good.
Yeah, he just knocks my socks off. Yeah, so good. So yeah, I would suggest check out the updates page. If you have a specific question, I'm happy to answer. And on streams like this, for sure, I'm always happy to answer it. However, yeah, but for sure, check the updates page because you're going to get a better explanation over time, and you're also going to see the artwork. That's a good route to go. But Charlie's doing well. His family's doing well. Everyone seems to be healthy, so that's actually really good. He's been kind of busy with work, but he's still working on this. So we're looking at 10 pages left. So that's a really good sign. Things have been moving forward the past 6 months at a faster pace. So that's been nice.
Awesome. Look at that, 1,950 backers.
I know. I can't even fathom. And the whole time I keep thinking, oh man, how much is this going to cost to ship?
Yeah.
Let alone my time. This book, especially taking longer. I've heard people say, making a book take longer because you want to get more money out of it. That's not how it works. It's more expensive the longer it takes, especially because the price of shipping has gone up from what it, initially was when I thought I was going to be shipping it. Like there are a lot of just costs. I'm running publishing a business, making sure everyone gets paid. So yeah, so trust me, this is not something that I want to do is be late. I want this to be finished so desperately, but it is moving and it's looking really great. So yeah, I appreciate everyone's patience and support on that. And let's see, there are more comments in there. Thank you, Comics Bear. Fatal is, I want to say bear thumbs up. I like that. Yeah,
I see that's a bear that ate the rest of the human, and just the hand is all that's left.
Yeah, exactly. Fatal deserves 1,000 at least. Yeah, I don't know if that's 1,000 backers, in which case we got at least that. $1,000. Thankfully, we got more than that.
So. 1,000 thumbs up. 1,000 decapitated thumbs up.
There we go. Yeah, it's it's been going well, and it's close to 100K. One other thing, and the reason, just because there's been so many questions this week, Thanksgiving week, I guess, is a week where people are thinking about crowdfunding and where their books are. I've getting a lot of questions this week, but yeah, with Fatal, I haven't been straight up hard promoting it a lot because it's so late. It feels bad to do that, and so
but when you're down the home stretch,
yeah.
And you're like, files are getting to the printer, you're going to be on here going like, you want to order this? You better order this right now because we're going to the printer. You're not going to be able to get it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I want to be transparent and give people updates. At the same time, it's like, I'm not promoting it like crazy to hit that 100K because we're going to hit it. Like, I'm sure we'll hit it. We're so close to it. But it's a matter of I just want to be in a position where it's like, hey, we got the book, we're going to be shipping it now, let's push it. So that's sort of the plan there. Anyway, so then I also have, this is just a Black Friday sell. Again, questions about this. Are you okay to only raise $1,700 so far? Everything's just fine. This is books that we've already had printed and shipped to people, so these are opportunities to get it. I made pogs because I thought, why not, let's give it a try. So if you want to catch some pogs, this is how you can do it. Kick from the 90s. And we have a brand new trading card set with Gods and Gears. And it's sort of a crossover trading card set. And people really love these wax pack sets, trading cards. People have been buying other older ones as well that you haven't been able to get before. So check those
are
out
wrapped with the wax paper?
Yeah. Yeah, they're awesome.
Dude,
there's a guy, Spencer Desmond, he does it for me. So I get the cards printed and he packs them. And he does a killer job too. They look like professionally done, and I don't know anywhere else where you could possibly get them done. So, but people love them. Like they've been.
I know, dude. I got a smile on my face just because that's like my childhood right there.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, check that out. And yeah, really appreciate everybody supporting the channel. Last thing I want to say, and then if you have something to promote, Mike, okay. If you do, that's fine. But last thing I want to say is with this YouTube channel, I really would like to start experimenting with other kinds of content, and I'm pretty committed to doing comics content. So we will see. I kind of like an interview format, especially if it's something new to talk about rather than just, hey, I have a book on crowdfunding site. You know what I mean? So doing interviews, I think tonight was a good example of, we're just talking about NFTs, doing more interviews. But I also think that there are some other kinds of, content I want to experiment with, all comics related. So I think you'll all be interested in it. But yeah, just getting your feedback on all that, super nice and helpful as well. So I really appreciate all of you for watching. And yeah, we got Eric Weathers here. Hello, everyone. Looking good, Stoker. I'm okay with waiting. I really appreciate that sentiment, Jasper. That's so many people have been so patient. Wax packs are legit. Yes, they are. All right. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. I'm going to get back to work. Thank you, Mike, for answering all my questions. We could probably do 5 of these, and I would still have more.
Anytime, bro. Anytime.
So appreciate that. All right. Bye, everybody.